Hey guys, today Brandon learns how to code in JavaScript for the very first time. Well, it might be the first time, but you get to pinpoint exactly how he's thinking through different things and how he's learning JavaScript and how the concepts are coming to him. I have a lot more of these in store, so if you like it, please subscribe. And here we go. This is Tyler. I'm a full stack software developer. I teach other people how to get into development and how to level up their careers. Today I'm with Brandon, and this is the first time we've met, so it's pretty cool. And Brandon wants to learn how to do development. So give us a little bit about your background, Brandon, and why you're interested in learning how to code with JavaScript today.
Yeah, well, um, I am mostly interested in rounding myself out as an entrepreneur. I have a couple of ventures I'm working on, and so if I can learn the basics, just anything I can about coding, essentially, I think that'll help me deal with developers and just again enhance myself. So
Cool. I love it, man. That's awesome. So give us a little bit about your background of what you're in school for right now and any coding experience that you've had, either with like Excel or uh, VB or anything, scripts.
yeah, pretty much nothing. I
Nothing.
took I took computer classes in high school. I have a website that I made when I was like a sophomore. I remember nothing from it, and yeah. So I have some basic understanding from talking to a lot of developers and developing an app that I'm developing right now. So, well, I personally am not. I'm hiring a company to do it. So,
That's awesome, dude. So, all right, let's get right into it then. So let me see if I can. I've got some really ghetto slides I made for us today. So
ghetto is
we can
better. Ghetto's the
ghettos
best.
ghettos where it's at, right? So let me see if I can do the. Is it not going to let me share my screen? Let's see. Um, what's up with that? Let's see. It's not letting me share my screen for some reason. Does it have where you can share your screen on yours?
Yeah, it says share desktop on my little touch bar.
Let's see. Share. Okay. Yeah, I got. See, you're helping a brother out here. All right. So
Boom, I got it.
cool. You got it, man. All right, we got the desktop. We got the videos. Everyone sees us. So let's jump right into this. So you've probably done some HTML and CSS before, I'm guessing, with your sites back in the day. We're just going to go over JavaScript today and kind of the fundamentals of how JavaScript works.
Okay.
I mean, basically how I like to think of it is when you're coding, there's like three main things that matter. Okay. And in JavaScript, that's the function, your data that you're playing with, and also the logic that's inside of your program. And so we're going to kind of break these three things down. Okay. And feel free to interject at any time if you're like, hey, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely ask questions.
Cool.
This will be this. I anticipate this will be a lot more dumbed down than you probably were
Dude, dumb
anticipating.
down is where I'm at. So let's
Well,
do
good.
this.
I need it. Yeah, I have no knowledge. So
Um, so one first concept I want to talk about is, have you ever used a console before?
yes,
Okay, so you use like
yes,
DOS or on the Mac or something, you use a terminal.
yes. I have used the terminal on Mac before. I'm not super familiar with it, but
Okay, basically, you can use a terminal with, the console with JavaScript, and that just allows you to see what's going on with your program. It's basically a place where you can see text output. So when we use console, it just means where you can see text output from your program. Okay, and we'll actually see that here in a bit. So, but let's go over functions real quick. So functions are a way to organize, reuse, and make your code easier to understand. So there's a developer I follow called Kyle Simpson, and he explains that code is actually for people. Code isn't for computers, right? And that means that the code that we type in is for other people to read. So you're hiring developers right now, right? And if they don't know how to write good code, if you go get someone else, let's say you hire a single company to do it, and then you hire later another company to work on that code, if it's not easy to understand, they're going to run into a lot of problems, right?
That actually did happen with me. I had to
Well,
completely
it's a common
wrap
thing.
it.
It's a common thing
Yeah.
that happens. Either it's poorly written, or there's a lot of things that can happen. But you know, and functions kind of help us to organize our code. So let's go ahead and I'm going to jump right out of here really quick, and I'm going to go into CodePen. So CodePen is basically just a sandbox where we can kind of play around with code. And I want to keep this video pretty short, so this is going to be a pretty quick crash course. But here's the console. So like I was talking about before, you can see this is where we will have text output. And can you see this? You see this? Fine? Cool.
Yeah, I see it.
It's cool. So this is how we make a function. So it has this keyword called function, right? And our browser reads that and knows that we're trying to create a function. So
And what do you mean by function?
function just means, it kind of comes back from, I'm not really great at math, to be honest, and that's kind of some people think you have to be great at math to be a developer. But a function kind of comes from functions in when you do like algebra and stuff. So it's kind of just functions are kind of just a series of steps that you can call. So remember I was talking about organizing your code. Function is just a little snip. It's basically you take a bunch of pieces of code and you put it together in a block basically, and you're calling those over and over again. So let me just show you. So if I were to write function hello world, right? This is kind of the first function that a lot of people will write. So if I do function hello world, I can do console.log hello world. Okay. So there's a lot going on here. Basically, I can name the function anything I want. There's some special characters in here that we have to have, otherwise the function won't work. So it's kind of like computers use what programming languages use what's called syntax, and basically you can think of syntax as being kind of the grammar and the spelling of how we communicate.
Yeah,
And
it makes sense.
if it's not exact, computers kind of throw up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little minutia stuff in here, and I don't know if we'll get time to cover it, but you just need this stuff.
Yeah, actually, I remember that. So when you say it, it jogs the sophomore in high school.
Cool. So, so when I call this function, right? All right. What do we see in the console? We see hello world.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can put a bunch of other stuff in here, right? And console.log is just another kind of built-in function that will it's keeps spitting stuff out, because every time I type something in, it saves it. So you can see here that when I added this other line, now each time I call hello world, it's actually running everything inside of these parentheses.
I got you, because it's
inside these squiggly brackets, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of the body of the function. These parentheses, we're not probably going to have time to go over, but just know that you always need them there when you create a function. Okay. So that's functions. All right. Any questions kind of on that?
No, I mean, what's the purpose of creating that function for the console? Why would I do that?
The only reason I'm just trying to show us some output. So
Oh,
JavaScript can interact with HTML and CSS, and it can do a lot of other things.
okay.
But I'm just trying to get it down to its
I
bare
got you.
bones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. So,
So
like you said, it's a sandbox. We can do whatever in it. Yeah, I got you.
right. So we're just writing out to that console. We can do other things that are actually useful. What we're doing is not useful right now.
Well, it was
So
pretty cool seeing "Hello World."
right, and
I'm
it's
just kidding.
super. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, very
Um,
useful.
love it, love it. So, uh, let's talk a little bit about data. So we talked about functions and how you organize code. Let's talk about the data. So, um, basically, there's things called variables, and those are I like to call them named containers. So if you think of a box or a container, it can hold different types of things, right? So if you have
Yeah.
you can think of like a backpack, for instance. Your backpack can hold books, it can hold your laptop, it can hold your lunch, it can hold a bunch of different things in it. That's the same thing with variables, right? So um, a variable can hold stuff like numbers and strings. I don't know if you've heard of those before, but
I've definitely heard of numbers.
right. So I'm glad you've heard of numbers before. Maybe you've heard that in math class or stuff like that, right?
Yeah, somewhere. I don't know.
Somewhere you've heard of that. But so the numbers concept comes over. The strings one is a little weird because you don't really hear of strings out in the world. You think of like, oh, there's a string. I have like a piece of yarn or something, right? That's a string. And you can kind of think of it as I have a bunch of characters that are all lined up together, right? Like
Yeah.
a string just lines up, right? So this literally is a string. So it starts with a quote and ends with a quote. And then
Hello
everything in
World is a
between it.
string.
Yeah, hello world is a string. Anything with a bunch of characters, it could be a million spaces.
Yeah,
It could be, whole paragraphs of stuff. I don't know if it could really be a million spaces, but
I got
because
you.
there are constraints on things. So cool. So let's actually go and make one really quick. So I'm going to jump back here, and what we can do inside of our example is we can go in and go, okay, we can create one with var. There's var and let. Let's are both keywords to create variables, but I'm not going to go into the nuances of it because it's a quick crash course.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do var number 2, and this is a horribly named variable, but it's just an example, right? So if I take this number 2 and I drop it into where we log out to the console, and I'm going to get rid of this other, sorry, I get rid of hello world, right? You can see that we actually get the number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I say it's a named container is that we get to name it and it holds something specific, but it's kind of a symbolic name, right? So I have this as number 2. So not to be confused with going to the bathroom, but the actual number 2. And when we go in and we call this number 2, it goes back to this declaration where I create this variable, right? And I'm saying here, okay, we're about to make a variable. Its name is number 2, and its value is assigned to 2, right?
Yeah.
So what
So
happens?
the container is number 2, and the value. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So the container is just a symbolic name that references back to the value.
Yep.
So literally, what happens when this line gets ran? Okay, is it actually goes back and it goes, hey, where's number 2? And it goes back to here and it says, give me that value. And it literally drops that value in before this gets ran.
Yeah. So that allows you to organize things better rather than just when you're typing a bunch of code, you don't want to keep typing in numbers and numbers and numbers because
Right.
you'll often reuse those container names, right? So you
Right.
often reuse them. So, yeah. Anyway, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so it's a lot better than hard code. We call it hard coding when you just pass in a single value.
Yeah.
this is called a literal, right? So when it's just the value itself, it's
Yeah.
what you see at face value. It's a literal. So
And that's hard coding.
that's hard coding, and I'm getting way too deep on some of
No,
this.
no, no. This is great. Yeah,
Cool.
this is very applicable to what I'm dealing with.
Cool.
What is
So
this called then when you organize it better?
what do you mean?
So this hard coding is when you enter in the actual value, but when you
It's
enter
called
in the
it's
container
called
number.
clean code in some ways. Like
Okay.
it's kind of just the way you should do things. I don't know. There's probably a particular name for it. I'm gonna have the viewers of this video put a comment in as what that's supposed to be called. So,
Yeah, I've heard clean code from several developers. So
yeah, so clean code is kind of a concept of it's much higher level, but it's kind of just a bunch of better practices that you put into your code so that it's more readable and usable and etc. So, all right, let's keep moving. Where are we at on time? Let me see this thing. I don't know where we're at on this video.
20, like 18 minutes, I think.
Are we 18 minutes in? Cool.
Probably something like that.
This Zoom cuts off at 40, so I don't have the professed version yet. So people need to I need to get Patreon or something so people can sponsor this crap. Let's see. So, all right, cool. So let's go into operators. So operators let you act on data, right? So act on variables and on literals as well. So there's numerical ones, you know. You've said you've heard of numbers before, so sure you've heard of plus, minus, multiply, divide. Those are all operators. We actually saw the assignment operator earlier. Remember when I put the equals right next to the 2?
Yeah.
So that actually, you're saying the variable on the left hand, on the left side is assigned to the value on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yep.
Cool. So we have comparisons operators. So you're saying, hey, is this thing greater than or less than? Is this thing equal to each other? Is it not equal? And then there's also Boolean, and I'm not going to go too deep into that, but there's lots of other operators. I think there's about 35 or 40 in JavaScript. But they let us have that logic portion that we need. Let's go into the conditionals really quick. So, and this kind of goes along with it. So, have you heard of if-else statements before?
Yeah, if then, like on Excel.
Yeah. So you have done some stuff with Excel. So.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same concept. So if x is a certain value, I have this like misspelled here. I have to fix it, but. So basically, you're checking for what's called a conditional, and you're saying, if this thing is true, then do this. Otherwise, do something else.
Yep.
Right? And we're going to look at that really quick. So let's jump right into it. So we already did the variable stuff here on operators. So I'll put the variable stuff down here. Like, these are what's called comments, by the way. So you just do // and it's something that's just for humans. It doesn't get read by the computer at all.
Gotcha.
So the reason I'm doing that is so that we don't have anything running that I don't want to be running right now. So cool. I'm just going to hard code this one for now. A lot of bad practices in this example. Just want everyone to know. I like to teach the best practices, but when things are really fast, it's hard to teach everything at once, right? So
yeah.
So we went over the operators a little bit earlier. We went over a little bit about the types where there's strings and numbers, and there's a few other ones as well. So let's go into the conditionals. So let's create another function. All right, and it's going to be So you can think of the if. The if is kind of its own function, right? So you can see it has a name or it has a keyword there. It has the parentheses and it has a body with the squiggly brackets. I like to also call these Alfred Hitchcocks if you get that reference at all. But no, okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm too old, man. So we have this function, right? So function condition. All right. So I can say if true, it will this will always run. And this thing's going crazy in the background, so I need to stop it. All right, let's clear that out so we can not be distracted by the console. Everyone's wigging out on the console right now. Okay, so if true, this will always run. Else, so in this example here, this is the conditional, right? So this is what gets evaluated, and these are always true or false. So I'm just hard coding again, right? So this hard coding is bad because this is really dumb because this part right here is always going to run. So this console.log, this is dumb, right? There's no reason to do conditionals like this. So let me call it condition. All right. So this is dumb, right? Because it's always going to go into this if state clause here. So let's actually do something useful. So I'm actually going to pass in a number, and this is something that we're not going to be able to explain much, but this is called a parameter, and it's kind of a localized variable that's just for this function. And so I'm going to say if number is greater than 1, okay. So I'm putting, what do you think is going to run? The else where I have 2 or the if where I have 1 based on this number that I'm passing in. So number becomes 2, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's
okay. Yeah, I'm not explaining this because I'm going really fast. So.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Cool.
You did a good job of explaining the basics, the principles of functions. So yeah,
cool. So which one's going to run, 1 or 2? Which body? The else or the if?
I may not be understanding your question correctly, so I'll just answer it. If it's greater than 1, which it is 2, that means that it will run.
Right. So basically, with if statements, so if this portion is true, always run the if body. Does that make sense? By the if body, absolutely. I mean, yeah. So if this is false,
do not run it.
Well, don't run this, and always run this instead. That's how it works, right? And I say always run. I shouldn't say always because it should be different depending on what number we passed in, right? So if I passed in 1 here, what would we expect to run? The else or the if?
Well, it's not specified because the number's greater than 1, right?
Right. So is 1 greater than 1?
Now you're getting into some really deep stuff here.
1 is not greater than 1, right? So 1 is equal to 1. So this, remember we were talking about equals to?
Yeah.
So this would cause the if body to run, but this actually equates to false, right? So this is going to be false, and because it's false, it's going to run the else. Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So you have any questions on that?
No. the only comment I would make is that I have obviously experienced this on Excel. So Excel just makes the coding very easy for me. Whereas
Right.
this, I'm essentially creating the code myself. I'm creating my own Excel in a way.
Right. And it's a
Right.
much more extensible that way. So cool, man. I'm going to give you, let me see. How are we on time?
Good.
Yeah, I just can't go over 40 minutes. Remember, Zoom wants to charge me money, so I ain't giving them no money.
We give them no money.
We give them no money until they sponsor my channel. All right. So let's see. Actually, they give me money if they sponsor me. So I don't
That's
know what
right.
I'm talking about. I'm going in circles here. Let's see if I can give you remote control. All right. Is it doing anything? Arg. Let's see. It won't even like drop down the remote control thing. Maybe that's a
What a paid feature.
yeah, it's probably a paid feature. And
That's okay.
let's see. Bam.
Click to start the remote control.
Dude, you just got remote controlled.
Let's see. I can't type anything though. Oh,
Dude, you just got some stuff
whoa.
there. All right. Dude, you get to make your own hello world. So
Oh man.
uh-oh.
Whoops.
Uh-oh. It's back up there. All right. So what is this? What did we say this was? It's a keyword, right?
Yes.
So we always need this, and it just tells the computer, hey, we're going to make a function right now.
Here we go. Yeah.
What do you need after that?
I remember maybe these.
That is something we need. We're missing something though. We need to name this function.
Let me cheat by going back. Oh, yeah, there we go. Function.
Awesome. Goodbye, world. That's a good outro for this.
Bam.
Love it. So we don't need the semicolon there though.
Ooh, I thought it looked cool, looked about right, but
Well,
I'm just kidding.
no, you're doing great. So awesome. So inside here, we can do console.log, but we can do something else, which I didn't show you. So there's another keyword called return. So let's try that out.
Okay.
Instead.
So am I doing that?
Yeah. So put in return.
Well, what's happening here?
It's on there.
Got a little frozen.
Uh-oh. It says he's waiting for control of your screen.
Ooh. My internet connection is unstable. Comcast, come on now. Okay.
All right, so return and then space, and then you can put in that string, and we're going to hard code the string, right? Hello world.
Oh, the string is goodbye world, right?
Oh yes, goodbye world, because we're about to wind down this.
That's
this
right.
video.
That's right.
So how do we make it a string though?
I know that parentheses and quotes. Yeah. Oh, whoops.
It's not parentheses. It's just quotes that we need.
Okay.
If we don't put the quotes on it, it thinks it's just a variable, so it gets confused.
So, wait. I'm sorry. You said just the quotes?
Yeah, just the quotes.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So now we're going to call the function. So
let's call them. What's this number?
Go beneath the closing squiggly brackets.
Okay.
And let's put in a console.log. All right. Now, what do you do next?
I'm going to cheat and
love it.
I mean, that's the hard code that you put in too. So I mean, what am I calling here?
So you're going to actually call the function. So I'll give you a hint. So we're going to want to put in parentheses because we're actually executing a function. And it's going to be right next to the log. So we need it to take the space in between out.
Okay.
Perfect. And then inside of there, we're going to put goodbye world. Now, I want you to just put goodbye world in there. Watch what happens. It actually passes the entire function itself. And this is kind of where it gets weird because functions can kind of be passed around like variables. So what we're actually doing is we're actually not executing the function. So to execute that function, we need to put 2 parentheses by it.
Yeah. Wait, by what?
By the goodbye world. So the opening and closing parentheses has to be right by goodbye world, and then it will run.
Now, when you say parentheses, you mean because there already are parentheses by it?
Okay, so it has to be immediately after the goodbye world, an opening and closing parentheses, but it has to be inside of the other parentheses.
Okay. Are you talking like this?
Yep.
Okay.
Bam. Goodbye world. Awesome.
Good.
Dude, how was that? How was that to code for your first time, dude?
You know, it was life-changing.
Well, it wasn't
was
actually.
good.
So
it was good.
It sounds like you have done some code in the past. So you've done. Did you do
Yeah,
any JavaScript before?
I couldn't tell you. It's deep in the memory banks, but this accessed some, helped me access some, some of those hidden lost gems that I had in my brain.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it was good.
It was good. So, hey, if you guys like this content, make sure to like and subscribe and share and do all the things. What other things can people do? Comment below how you like Brandon's coding skills.
Yeah, don't be too harsh. I'm very sensitive to cyberbullying.
Yeah, dude, bullying is not cool, and cyberbullying is the
even more not cool.
It's even more not cool because you're like even less of a person because you can't do it to someone's face. So it's
what? Let me. I'm gonna change some up here. I can't see my. I can't. There it is.
You got it
here. No cyberbullying.
We don't have that function yet, but
because if I have to change that, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, dude,
I'm gonna do it. We're not logging off till this is done. Is that
it? Sick. I love it, man. Hey, thanks so much for going on here. This was fun.
Awesome. Yes, it was. I appreciate you, man. You're doing good. You're doing some good stuff.
Cool.
I like it. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave the meeting in 3, 2. Wait, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. You can leave it.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.